There's a number in your head. You don't talk about it much, but it's there. The price of the Porsche you'll buy someday. You've done the math. You've checked the listings. You've even configured one online. But here's the thing about that number. It's not the real price. Not even close. You were 16 when it happened. A red 911 pulled up next to you at a stoplight. The sound was different from other cars, deeper, more mechanical. The driver wasn't showing off, just waiting for green like everyone else. But something about that moment stuck. You made yourself a promise that day. One day, that would be you. Through college, you kept that promise alive. While your roommates had posters of bands, you had a framed photo of a Guards Red 911 Turbo. You knew every model year, every engine code. You could spot the difference between a 996 and 997 from 3 blocks away. Your friends rolled their eyes when you'd point out another Porsche in traffic. But you didn't care. This wasn't just about wanting something nice. This was about proving you'd made it. Your first real job came with a salary that seemed huge at the time. $40,000 a year felt like winning the lottery after years of ramen and roommates. You celebrated by updating your saved Porsche configuration. Base Carrera, silver, black interior. Nothing crazy. The website said from $120,000. You did the math. If you saved aggressively, lived cheap, maybe got some promotions, you could have enough for a down payment in 5 years. Maybe 7, realistically. But that was fine. The dream costs nothing. It's the hope that's expensive. By 30, you were making $70,000. Good money, your parents said. More than they ever made. The configuration on your phone had evolved. Carrera S now. Metallic blue, sport exhaust. You'd learned that the base models felt incomplete, that you'd regret not getting the S. The price had crept up to $150,000 with options. But your salary had grown too. The math still worked, sort of. Then you turned 35 and something shifted. You weren't just browsing anymore. You were ready to get serious. You opened a spreadsheet, determined to make this real. This is when you learned that the price on the website is basically fiction. First, there's the actual price. That base Carrera showing $120,000, no dealer has that car. What they have starts at $140,000 because every car comes with options. The sport seats you need for your back, $5,000. The premium package with keyless entry, $3,800. Paint that isn't white, $2,500. Those gorgeous wheels in the configurator, $4,000. Suddenly, you're at $155,000, and you haven't even added the sport exhaust you've been dreaming about. Then come the fees. Destination charge, $1,450. Dealer documentation, $800. Their ceramic coating package that's somehow mandatory, $3,000. Extended warranty because you're not insane, $4,000. Now you're at $164,000. Want to know what really hurts? Taxes. In most states, you're looking at 6 to 10% sales tax. In California, that's about $14,000 just to register your dream. Some states charge luxury taxes on top of that. Your $120,000 Porsche is now pushing $175,000, and you haven't even turned the key. But ownership is where the real education begins. You join the forums, trying to learn about maintenance. That's when you discover that routine oil service runs $400 to $1,000. Not $100, $400 minimum. The major service at 40,000 miles, that clears $3,000 easily. Tires last maybe 12,000 miles if you baby them, and a set costs $2,200 installed. The ceramic brakes everyone raves about? A single front PCCB rotor runs $5,000 to $6,000 when it needs replacing. A full set of rotors can hit the high teens. Insurance companies see that Porsche badge and multiply their normal rates by 3. That clean driving record you're so proud of? Doesn't matter. You're 35. Suburban? Perfect credit. $4,000 a year for full coverage. Your 25-year-old coworker who asked about rates? They quoted him $12,000 per year. Then there's depreciation, the cost nobody talks about at car shows. A new Carrera S loses about 45% of its value in 5 years. On your $160,000 car, that's $72,000 disappearing. $7,000 gone when you drive off the lot. Another $20,000 that first year. By year 3, you've lost more in depreciation than many people make in a year. You update your spreadsheet with real numbers now, financing $160,000 at current rates, which are sitting around 10% for prime borrowers, means a payment of $2,970 a month over 6 years. Add $350 for insurance, $100 for gas, since you'll baby it, $125 for the maintenance fund, $200 for registration and taxes. Your monthly Porsche bill is $3,745. You stare at that number. After taxes, you're taking home about $5,000 a month. The car would eat 75% of your income. Financial advisors say spend no more than 15% on all transportation. You're at 5 times that for one car. But maybe the problem is buying new. You pivot to the used market, confident you'll find deals. That's when you discover the Porsche market is rigged. Not illegally, just cleverly. Those affordable 996 models everyone used to mock for their headlights? They're collectibles now. The 997 you could almost afford 3 years ago? Investment grade, according to dealers. Asking prices have climbed 30%, while your salary grew 4%. You start to notice patterns. Every time you get a raise, Porsche prices jump more. It's like chasing a moving target, except the target has launch control and you're on foot. Base 911 prices have climbed from $99,000 in 2015 to $120,000 in 2025. But that's misleading because options that used to be optional are now mandatory for emissions and safety. The average Porsche transaction price shot up 37% in that same period. Meanwhile, median household income grew 4%. Total, not per year, total. At that rate, it would take 8 years of growth just to match 1 decade of Porsche inflation. The math isn't just difficult, it's impossible. You start meeting other Porsche people, hoping to learn their secrets. The patterns are depressing. There's the lawyer who bought one, then sold it after the first service bill. He'd budgeted for car payments, not $5,000 brake jobs. The entrepreneur who keeps theirs under a cover, too stressed about door dings to actually drive it. The retiree who finally got his dream car, but his back can't handle the sport seats anymore. And then there's the trust fund kid daily driving a GT3, complaining about the cup holders. The truth becomes clear. Everyone who has one either can't really afford it or doesn't need to think about affording it. You run one more calculation, the painful one. What if you took that $3,745 monthly payment and invested it instead? In a basic index fund averaging 7% returns, you'd have $327,000 after 6 years. Keep the car for those 6 years, it's worth maybe $88,000 on a good day. Sell the investments, you'd net close to $250,000 after taxes. That difference alone would buy a mint condition older Cayman and leave enough for a house down payment. Plus, you'd still have a growing investment portfolio. But that's not what hurts most. What hurts is realizing the Porsche ownership experience would be 6 years of financial stress, obsessing over every mile, every door ding, every service interval. That's not freedom, that's a prison with leather seats. The people who buy these cars don't run these calculations. They don't need to. If you're doing math, building spreadsheets, losing sleep over monthly payments, you're already priced out. Not because you're poor, but because you're part of the massive middle class that luxury brands price above on purpose. They don't want customers who stretch to afford their products. They want customers who don't notice the price. The Porsche paradox reveals itself. By the time you can truly afford one, you understand why you shouldn't. Real wealth isn't spending 75% of your income on a depreciating asset. Real wealth is having your money make money, building security, creating options. The flashy car is what people buy to look wealthy. Actual wealthy people buy assets. You're 45 now, stopped at the same light where it all started. A kid in the car next to you stares at your sensible sedan, probably wondering why adults drive such boring cars. You know something they don't yet. The Porsche dream isn't about the car. It never was. It's about believing you'll be the exception, that the rules of money don't apply to your passion. But they do. They always do. That number in your head, the one you've carried for decades, it was never the real price. The real price is everything else you give up to get there. And once you understand that, really understand it, the dream changes. It's not about someday anymore. It's about today, and building something that lasts longer than a set of sport tires. The kid at the light is still staring. You could tell them the truth, but they wouldn't listen. Nobody ever does. They need to find their own spreadsheet, run their own numbers, feel their disappointment. That's how dreams end. Not with crashes or breakdowns, but with math. Cold, simple, undeniable math. The same math that says you'll never afford a Porsche, at least not the way you imagined.